You know, it was more than 50 years ago that the Education Commission of the States began as an interstate education compact, helping states work together to improve education policy. James Bryant Conant, the co-founder of Education Commission of the States, believed in the power of learning from experience. His vision that states could remain unique but still learn from one another is what actually created Education Commission of the States, and it's also what continues to brings us together this week. It's my honor that we get to give this next award. The James Bryant Conant Award has recognized outstanding education leaders since 1977. It's my pleasure to present the Conant Award this year to Lowell Milken. As chairman and co-founder, Lowell has led the Milken Family Foundation for more than 30 years. In his ongoing support of education, practice, and programs, Mr. Milken has created initiatives that provide educators and students with opportunities for increased success both in the present and in the future. From programs such as the Milken Educator Awards, the National Institute for Excellence in Teaching, and the Lowell Milken Center for Unsung Heroes, his efforts in education really do span across so many of the different areas of education, including policy, research, curriculum, professional development, and student success. On a personal level, I first met Lowell earlier this year. He's insightful, he's probing, and he has this intellectual energy and enthusiasm that is absolutely contagious. Lowell's commitment to supporting education is profound, and it's my great honor to present him with the James Bryant Conant Award today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Governor, for those kind remarks. And good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's a little more energy. I did my homework, and I found out that it was not a coincidence that before James Bryant Conant was a professor, before he was a diplomat, a commissioner, a university president, he was a chemist, a master of interactions, of combinations, and most importantly, of change. The co-founder of this organization was correct when he observed that every vital organization owes its birth and life to an exciting and daring idea. And in this formulation, the key term is daring, for without it, things stay still, and with it, things move forward. This is what I'd like to speak to you about today, an idea that's bold and big, that is moving education forward. Indeed, it is reforming it and transforming it in states across the nation. The idea, teacher effectiveness as the cornerstone of K-12 reform. Now, I'm certain that all of us agree on the power and good of education, and I'm sure we also agree on what education's biggest challenges are. Where I think we might not be of one mind is how most effectively to address those problems, which, by the way, can be a good thing. For sharing different visions is how good ideas get better. That is what ECS was created for, to bring knowledgeable, concerned people from every state in the nation together in order to learn, communicate, and find authentic solutions to education's most pressing needs. And it is indeed an honor to have the work that I've been engaged in over the past 30 years to be recognized and associated with the contributions of this organization's co-founder, for why James Bryant Conant was indeed a visionary educator. He was a reformer as well. Now, I've always put great store by the power of recognition. It is why I established a program to recognize outstanding educators, to celebrate their contribution, to honor their excellence, and to affirm and advance their work. And in the 30 years since we presented the first 12 Milken Educator Awards in California, more than 2,700 exemplary teachers and principals have been honored in every setting across the country. It's been a tremendous learning experience to present a great many of these awards myself. Some of you have attended notifications in your state. And for those of you who have not, I want to tell you that to be in a school assembly when a teacher or principal is taken completely by surprise in front of the school community and public officials with public recognition of his or her excellence and dedication is to see the fulfillment of the award's promise. Recognition of this kind truly elevates the individual. It galvanizes colleagues, and it utterly thrills students. And I can tell you that it is not only visible, it's also audible. So let's take a quick look at a very brief news clip of a notification in Philadelphia this past fall.
I think you're going to love this story. A Philadelphia teacher gets a surprise of a lifetime.
She is the recipient of the prestigious Milken Educator Award, the first in the nation given out this year.
I'm going to give you a few hints, and let's see if you can figure it out, okay?
An ordinary school assembly at Andrew Jackson Elementary School in South Philadelphia turned extraordinary. A man whose face few knew started by giving out clues and announcing someone in the room was about to become $25,000 richer.
The first thing you get is one big surprise.
Lowell Milken kicked off a cross-country tour of Milken Educator Awards at Andrew Jackson School. He announced the first of 35 awards this year goes to one of the school's own.
That teacher is Jada Puglisi.
Overcome with emotion, the announcement stunned Jada Puglisi and brought the 5th grade math and science teacher to tears. Her students surrounded her with hugs and congratulations. Students and her principal tell us what makes her so special.
If we need help with something, we can text her while we're at home. Ms. Puglisi also teaches us high school work.
She's a born teacher. She never stops. She's boundless energy. She's a young mom. So I'm always amazed that she's able to pull off all of this.
Puglisi is now among more than 20 educators who have received a Milken Educator Award, which represents the gold standard in education.
I can't believe it. Just being honored by a Milken Educator, as I said, it's the Oscars of teaching. It's what it's equivalent to.
She's known for inspiring students, and she used her time in the spotlight for another teachable moment.
I was actually the first in my family to graduate from high school, and I was the first in my family to graduate from college. So you can change your life, and you can change everything that your family may or may not provide for you.
And hails from South Philadelphia as well. Past recipients have used their awards to fund their own continuing education, pay for dream field trips, and establish scholarships. And that's NBC 10 News at 4.
Love that story.
Thank you. Ours is a land of immense natural resources, and the most valuable, as we all know, is human capital. Human capital is the beating heart of education, and developing strong human capital is not only the goal of education, it is the means for achieving it. For without vibrant and engaged and excellent educators, there is little chance of producing students with the same quality. This is not only my opinion, extensive research confirms it. It holds that the single most important in-school factor driving student learning is the quality of the educator. It has a far greater impact than class size, a given curriculum, or technology. I was fortunate during my K-12 career to have a number of exceptional teachers. And maybe this is why I never took having excellent teachers for granted, though they were granted back then by a system that was respected and effective. That's not what K-12 education became in the decades that followed. and the fact that American education today remains the civil rights issue of our time, 63 years after Brown versus the Board of Education, is shocking. And this situation will not be reversed until the quality of teachers is dramatically improved. Let me be precise. Until the skills and knowledge, training and behaviors of a majority of teachers in a majority of schools in every part of the country are very significantly improved. And I know this from being with hundreds of outstanding educators in their classrooms and observing their work in all kinds of settings. Interacting with these outstanding educators made it clear to me that their success was achieved far more often in spite of the education system's role than because of it. And this had to change. So then, how to change it? By focusing on the problem's operative term, and that's not teacher and it's not setting, it's the system. And this is what prompted the bold idea: making teacher effectiveness the engine of K-12 reform by actually putting on the ground a system that would be vibrant, adaptive, relevant, and effective. So yes, our Educator Award Program would continue to recognize and inspire excellence, but starting 20 years ago, I decided to find the way to generate excellence, to build and strengthen the skills and the knowledge and experiences of teachers, and to do it on a broadest scale possible. After years of work with our talented foundation team, by 1999, we created a system, a detailed one, to dramatically advance teacher practices and student learning. We called it the TAP system for teacher and student advancement. And TAP is carried out at the school site by a shared leadership team of administrators and teacher leaders. It's comprised of 4 elements you can see on the chart: multiple career paths, continuous daily job-embedded professional growth, performance-based compensation, and accountability, including a fair and transparent teacher evaluation system where trained and certified evaluators are capable of differentiating performance levels and, most importantly, providing detailed feedback for improvement. When I didn't think of TAP in those days as a startup, it had many of those features. It was disruptive, constructive, innovative, and scalable. At the beginning, we knew TAP was going to stir opposition, and it did, since many education leaders feel uneasy by any effort that touches on qualifications, evaluations, and compensation tied to student outcomes. So yes, there were obstacles, but we stayed the course. Has it been constructive? Let me answer by saying that TAP is the largest multi-year, multi-state, voluntary effort to create performance-based teacher and principal evaluation systems ever. It's had a huge and measurable effect on educators and students in schools of every kind, urban, rural, public, private, tribal, and charter, at all grade levels, pre-K through 12, all combinations and all environments, literally all of them. Innovative, TAP has created the entire infrastructure to assure teacher effectiveness system-wide. The TAP rubric, the training, the support, the portal, the learning platform, the database management system, the evaluation certification process, the connection to teacher preparation programs, and more. And when it comes to scalability, consider this: today, over 250 school districts, 6,000 schools, 250,000 educators, and 2.5 million students across 12 states are impacted by the work of TAP and the National Institute for Excellence in Teaching, NIET, which operates it. So what are the features and numbers all adding up to? A lot, for the simple reason that teachers are delivering more effective instruction. Students in TAP schools are outperforming students in similar schools. TAP is reducing the Black-white and Hispanic-white achievement gap, even as these same gaps in some locations in the comparison schools are actually widening today. And it's achieving these results with more than 95% of TAP schools having higher percentages of low-income and minority students populations than the statewide averages. And TAP is just as importantly about the details of its elements. A precise example of TAP's success can be seen in Tennessee, where in 2010, the state implemented a teacher evaluation mechanism based on the TAP observational rubric, itself regarded as one of the most effective in the country, according to nearly 20 years of highly varied research. 3 years later, Tennessee did achieve the largest all-time growth in a testing cycle on the NAEP, nearly 50% more growth than any other state and 4 times that, the national average. But Tennessee is not unique. In Louisiana, an independent multi-year study found that TAP schools not only consistently outperform comparison schools, but that their student growth actually accelerates year after year. And TAP continues to expand rapidly in Louisiana, where the Department of Education is working with districts to implement TAP in an additional 400 schools over the next 2 years. And this past fall, South Carolina adopted new state teaching standards based on the TAP rubric. So while these longitudinal studies, verifiable data, and meaningful trends are all crucial to TAP's viability, what is particularly gratifying is to hear from educators themselves as to the change that they are generating for their students. I'll give you an example. At Mung College Prep Academy, a charter school in a highly challenged St. Paul community, only 1% of 11th grade students were proficient in math before the implementation of TAP. Today, 4 years later, more than half of the students reach a level of proficiency, and the school has risen from the lowest performing 5% of charters to the second highest level ranking in the state. Or consider what happened at G.W. Carver Primary School outside Baton Rouge, a school where over 90% of the students are on free and reduced price lunch, where not one student in grades 3, 4, and 5, yes, not one single student was at grade level. And when TAP was implemented, only 2 years later, 3/4 of Carver's 3rd grade through 5th grade students are reading at grade level. And the teacher retention rate, once abysmal, is today an extraordinary 91%. Results of this sort and scale are not about alchemy. They're about cause and effect. When you put in place a structure that offers powerful opportunities for career advancement, professional growth, and competitive compensation, that provides flexibility for any given curriculum, that sows the fertile ground for other sound reforms to work, that creates an environment that's collegial, that focuses on high-quality instruction and classroom practice and engaged learning among students, then you can recruit highly effective educators, and you can recruit them to high-need schools, and you can retain them because they want to stay, because they are motivated, because they themselves have a chance to excel. Now, I've mentioned scalability. Nowhere is it more evident or generative than in TAP's move into higher ed. Since 2008, NIET has been partnering with schools of education in order to retool their pre-service preparation programs with TAP teaching standards to better prepare teachers for the realities of the classrooms they will enter. The impact of these partnerships with NIET is significant. Not only do students in these partnership schools graduate at far higher levels than students in schools of education nationwide, in fact, their final performance assessments show them to have instructional skills well above proficiency as they are about to enter the teaching profession. When I said at the outset that this was a bold idea back in 1999, I did mean big in every sense. Over the past 20 years, TAP has not only been deployed at all levels of the education system, it has been championed from all sides of the political spectrum. And we're particularly pleased today to have the opportunity to appeal directly to you. For this audience not only cares about education, you have the power to put in place policies correct and sufficient to make teacher effectiveness the cornerstone of reform, to address every aspect of teacher recruitment, development, practice, and retention. So in closing, I am taking the opportunity you've given me today to enjoin you to take action, to redirect ESSA and other federal funds to make educator effectiveness a key tenet of your strategic planning, and to install TAP in highly challenged schools as the turnaround strategy and mechanism of choice. To redirect that may be poorly focused or other state-appropriated funds to create TAP pilot schools in every district, and to work with a school of education in your state and NIET to transform how they prepare teachers. These actions are generative. They have immediate ripple effect. They change the lives of teachers and students by the tens of thousands, and they do it in the near term. I have full confidence that NIET's TAP and educator effectiveness initiatives can amplify your own efforts to provide a high-quality educational experience to all the students you serve. And as we've heard over and over, all means all. And the most exciting outcome of the recognition that you have accorded me today would be to join forces with you in this effort, to stand with you and to work with you to advance our shared goals. Thank you very much.